Hi, and welcome back to Pinky Boo Hauntings. I'll be your witchy host, Shy, and I'll be your guide to all things paranormal, weird, and spooky. Listen, I swear I'm going to work on the deep dive, but since I had a few days off and I still have writer's block, I figured it wouldn't be a bad idea to try and get a jump on some of these other episodes. While I still wouldn't call myself organized, I am trying to maybe move into that direction. But for now, I'd at least like to try and get some of these in the works. If nothing else, maybe this will help me stay on top of stuff these upcoming weeks. Because my life is about to get a little stressful. So, any help I can get in any way, I need it. But enough of all that. Why don't we get right into our first story? People who grew up in haunted houses, what's the craziest thing that has ever happened? I grew up in a house that was built in the mid 1870s in the Midwest. My mother was the first to notice something. I was 2 years old at the time, and my mother was sleeping on the couch. She was pregnant with my younger brother and found it more comfortable than her and my father's bed. It was winter, and we heated the home with a wood stove. She told me that she heard what sounded like a footstep, and she woke up. She saw a small figure, less than 3 feet tall, move to stand next to the wood stove, which was, of course, burning. She thought it was my twin sister, so she told her to go back to bed. The figure moved closer to the stove. She repeated herself, and the figure again moved closer to the stove, to the point that it appeared to be against it. Fearing that it was my sister and she might be burnt by the stove, she moved and turned on the lamp next to her, and the shadow like figure disappeared under the stove. She was a little freaked out by this and went back to the bedroom. That ghost child just wanted to enjoy the fire and probably got spooked when your mom turned on the light. I get why your mom would be scared, but it definitely didn't mean any harm. Throughout growing up in the house, my brother and two sisters would hear noises, footsteps in the hall, whispering voices, things like that. It was never audible what was being said, but the whispers were loud enough to know that it was sound of some sort. It can be really hard to hear a ghost sometimes. It can also be annoying just barely being able to hear a whisper, but not knowing what they're saying. During my teenage years, I would go to my Boy Scouts meeting. The Scoutmaster picked me up, and the rest of the family would be gone to my twin sister's softball games. I heard music coming from the basement. The basement was nothing more than a muddy crawl space under the house with a single light bulb, and heard a voice calling my name. I really hope you're not about to do what I think you are. You know at this point that the place is haunted, right? Don't do the stupid thing, please. I couldn't tell if it was a male or female, but it freaked me out immensely. I started sitting outside on the steps when I would get home from scouts, as any time I was in the house alone at that hour, I heard the music and voices. I never said anything to anyone in my family about it. Oh my god, you didn't do the stupid thing. I'm so proud of you. Because whether it was something bad or not, I don't like that it seemed to be luring you down there when no one else was there. When I turned 18, I joined the Army Reserves. I had an early formation, 4 a.m., the next morning, and my reserve center was an hour and a half away. It was about 11 p.m., and I was trying to sleep. I kept hearing knocking at the foot of my bed. The first time it happened, I thought I was imagining it, as I was almost asleep. I closed my eyes after seeing nothing at the foot of my bed, figuring it was the ghost, as my brother and sisters and I had called it. That's such an unimaginative name. Why didn't you at least give it a basic name, like Mary or Jane? I don't know. Also, I don't know if your mom ever told you guys about the story of the little girl, but I'm going to assume she did. So give the ghost a generic girl's name of some kind, damn. Don't just call it the ghost. No wonder it was trying to lure you down to your doom. It's probably insulted. Not more than a minute after I closed my eyes, I heard the loud knocking again. I opened my eyes and looked. Nothing there. I said out loud, "Please leave me alone. I've got to sleep." I closed my eyes again. As soon as I closed my eyes again, I heard the knocking, this time louder. I growled out, "Stop it." This cycle happened 3 or 4 more times, always knocking at the foot of the bed. It happened about 4 more times. Frustrated, I said, "God damn it, stop it." I closed my eyes again. Suddenly, on either side of the headboard, inches from me, the knockings sounded rapid fire, loud. Terrified, I jumped out of bed and ran downstairs, choosing to get dressed and sleep in my car in front of the reserve center for an hour. That was a rough night. That ghost definitely doesn't like you. Or maybe if it really is a child spirit, maybe it was trying to mess with you like a little sister would, not understanding that you need sleep because you have to get up early the next day. 4 years ago, my older sister and I were cleaning out the house after my parents had passed away, and the ghost came up again. I told her about hearing the music and voices calling my name from the basement. She is the first person I told, and this was 15 years after I had moved out, gotten married, and had my own children. I was kind of wondering if you ever told anybody about it. If you all did seem to be on the same page about the house being haunted, I wouldn't have been shocked if you didn't. But since you all believed, I was curious if you did mention it at all. I guess you didn't. She went ghost white and told me I heard the exact same thing, music from the basement, and something down there calling my name. I didn't tell anyone because I thought they would think I was crazy. I don't know what it was or what they were. I'm just glad that I didn't live there anymore. Wait, why would she think that? You all did believe that place was haunted, right? I think everyone would have believed you both if you had have said anything. Though, when my wife and I were first married, we moved into an old farmhouse next to two ponds. It was a beautiful piece of property, and the landlord had told us that it was her family home. She also told us that her mother, who had cancer, had drowned herself in one of the ponds. I hoped she didn't tell that like it was some interesting fact about the house, 'cause that's horrible. Just her giving you guys a tour of the place and going, "And this is the pond my mom drowned herself in. Oh, and this is the apple tree I used to climb as a child. Broke my arm thanks to that tree." I guess there isn't really a non awkward way to tell someone about your mom, but still. I worked third shift as a law enforcement officer, and my wife was a 911 dispatcher who worked the swing shift and got home around 10 p.m. She was up working on the computer in the office. The office was a thin room, no more than 8 feet wide and about 10 feet long. One side of the room had closets with doors on them. It was a shared shelving system with the guest room on the other side of the wall that had nothing but boxes in it, as we hadn't finished unpacking yet. I received a frantic phone call from her about 11:30, and she was hysterical. She told me that all of the closet doors covering those shelves began to open and close violently, and she had ran to the car in terror and called me. I don't blame her for freaking out. As much as I'm used to this stuff, I think even I would be out the door so fast. She stayed the remainder of that night with her sister, who lived a short distance away. Her brother had stopped by one time and told us that he knocked on the door and no one answered. My wife and I weren't home. As he went back to the car, he looked up to a second floor window and saw a woman there, who quickly moved out of view. That window was at the top of the landing on the second floor. He went back and knocked again and had just walked back to his car when we pulled up. He told us what happened, and we told him about the landlord's mother. My office was on the second floor, just adjacent to that window. When I'd be in my office late at night playing video games, I always felt as if I was being watched. My cats refused to go onto the second floor, and they would hiss and growl at the foot of the stairs, looking up. We no longer live in that house, but we drive past it on occasion, and the haunting of it always comes back up when we do. I'm going to assume that lady didn't say anything about it, but I wonder if it's possible your office was once her room. Or maybe she just doesn't like you guys living there. Maybe she wanted the house to stay in the family and is upset her daughter is renting it out instead and was just taking it out on you guys. Could even be trying to run you off. Either way, I don't think she liked you living there for whatever reason. Are you guys ready to move on to our next story? If you said no, too bad. You're just here for the ride, and I'm in control of where we go. So I say we're moving on. Nah, you guys know I love you. But we are still moving on. On to the next story. Not a believer in the paranormal, but these things are weird to explain. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I love when they title it like this because I know you just don't want to believe, but you do. It's okay to be scared. I am a 21-year-old Puerto Rican woman. English is not my first language, so I apologize if this is not written perfectly. I also didn't think this experience was that creepy at first, but after last night, I'm not so sure anymore. I live with my mom, my daughter, and until recently, my grandpa. He passed away 2 weeks and 2 days ago. This living situation is temporary, while my partner and I try to find an apartment, which is obviously not easy right now. Last night, around 10 p.m., I was in my room doing my makeup so I could film and take pictures for my boyfriend. While I was getting ready, I heard footsteps coming from what used to be my grandpa's room. His room is directly in front of mine, not even 4 feet away from my door. The footsteps were slow and dragged, exactly like he used to be. I froze for a second, but I tried not to think too much about it. I'm not really a believer in the paranormal stuff, and honestly, I just wanted some peace of mind. I told myself it was probably one of my four cats and kept going. Listen, I don't have a cat, nor have I ever lived in a house with one, but that doesn't seem like a sound a cat would make. For context, my mom has been complaining the past few nights that her door randomly locks, and she feels like she's being watched. I brushed it off and told her she was just paranoid. When my grandma passed in 2023, we had similar experiences. We used to hear her cane tapping against the wooden floor late at night. My boyfriend even swears he heard a woman in the kitchen once saying, "No one appreciates me in this house." The creepy part is that he had never met my grandma before. When he told us what he had heard and repeated exactly what the voice said, my mom and I just looked at each other. That was something she used to say all the time when we didn't like her cooking. Damn, Grandma was guilting y'all from beyond the grave, huh? It'd be funny if he was eating when he heard that. So, I've been through weird things before, but I always find a way to explain them. Until tonight. Wait. I need to know how you possibly could have explained that away. He never met her and somehow knew the exact thing she'd say to you to guilt trip you. That was clearly your grandma. But I get it. Being in denial makes it easier to sleep at night. Around midnight, closer to 1 a.m., I turned off my AC and my TV because the noise was starting to overwhelm me. The house went completely quiet. It was just me and my daughter, and I was trying to get her to sleep. I was lightly scolding her, telling her it was late and she should already be asleep. Unfortunately, that's not how babies work. They don't care if they should be asleep. They don't want to go to sleep. They're not going to. That's when I heard my middle name. Clear, loud, right in front of my door. The only person who ever called me by my middle name in this house is my grandpa. I immediately tried to rationalize it. I thought maybe my mom had walked past my room and was trying to tell me to be quiet like she usually does. But something felt off. Voice didn't sound like it came from the hallway. It sounded like it came from right outside my door, almost like someone was standing there. I called my mom right away. She answered, half asleep. That's when my entire body went cold. My heart dropped so hard it felt physical. I just sat there, staring at the door, too scared to even move. I know what I heard. It wasn't quiet or distant. It wasn't something I could brush off as imagination. It was right there. And it hasn't been the only thing. Since he passed, I've had objects that were securely placed fall off shelves for no reason. I felt my blanket being tugged at night when no one else was there. His bedroom door sometimes rattles softly, like someone was trying to open it, but can't quite get it right. Aw, maybe he's just trying to get used to being a spirit and was just trying to get into his room. Now, I don't know what to think. My mom is Christian, and she says my grandpa accepted God before he died, so he should be in heaven. But if that's true, then what is still here? Why does it feel like something is still walking around in his room at night? I've also been exhausted lately, so part of me wants to believe I'm just sleep deprived, but I can't explain hearing my name like that. And what really hasn't left my mind is how it sounded. Not distant, not muffled, not like something I imagined. It sounded patient, like it knew I heard it, like it was waiting for me to answer. All right, I don't want to start trauma dumping because it might offend some people that believe in Christianity. And I do believe, as long as it's not hurting others, you should be allowed to believe how you want, just like you should let others believe how they want. But as someone that has seen so many spirits in her life, it isn't that uncommon for a loved one that just passed to stay around for a while, to kind of look over those they left behind. My dad was Christian when he passed, and right after, he was at the house all the time. I've seen him a few times as if he was still alive. He had to stop that because it broke my heart even more, but still, he was there. I also would hear him coming through the back door, walk through the house, and head to the bathroom. He was heavy footed, so even when I was in my room, I could feel him walking through the house. And this happened every day at the exact same time. The time he would have been getting home from work. It got to the point when I realized it was that time of day, I picked my feet up so I didn't have to feel him walking through the house. I say all of this because I want you to understand this is pretty normal for someone that just passed to do. It doesn't mean they aren't happy in the afterlife or anything like that. Doesn't necessarily mean they're being punished or that the person you're hearing around the house is a demon, like some people like to believe. It just means they want to stay around for a while for whatever reason they may have. They also could come back at any point if they need to or want to. The way some talk about heaven feels more like a prison than a paradise to me. Because why wouldn't your loved ones want to come back every so often to check up on you or comfort you if need be? They still love and care about you, even in the afterlife. Update 4/21/26. Damn, that was recent. His bedroom door swung open yesterday. It's a door that opens inward, located in a non ventilated hallway. Our house is old, so to open it, you actually have to twist the handle and push because the door presses against the frame. My mom was about to walk into the hallway to go to the laundry room when she saw it and freaked out. We're talking to a pastor to come and anoint us and the house because me and my daughter are sleeping with my mom in her room since I'm too scared to sleep in my own room, which is literally in front of his. No, don't be scared. It really is just your grandpa hanging around. At most, he might not know he's dead yet. But no matter what, he is harmless. Unless he was an asshole in life. But I don't think that's the case. So I really do think he's just hanging around either because he doesn't know he's dead yet, or he's just staying for a while for you all. Please don't be scared of him. Alright, we only have one more story for today. This one is called I saw a shadow figure watching me while I sleep, and my cat saw it too. I woke up in the middle of the night with an odd feeling resting on my left side, facing my cat. He had his eyes wide open, looking terrified, with his eyes fixed on my bedroom doorway. So I turned to look at what he was looking at and saw what was a shadow figure facing me. When I looked at it, I saw it run away down the hall. My mom was visiting, so I figured she needed something. I normally live alone, so I called out to her and ran towards the shadow. I get your mom is staying with you right now, but why would you do that? What if that was a person and not a shadow person? Actually, it's stupid to run after it, no matter what it was. But realized there was no sound of someone running and the figure vanished, and asked if she was just in my doorway. even though I already knew it wasn't her, and my heart was pounding out of my chest in fear. She responded, she wasn't in my doorway. This all happened around 2 or 3 a.m. Yeah, that's one of their favorite times to come out. I figured it was my first hallucination, but I remembered my cat also saw it, and he was the one that saw it first. And that's why I turned to look in the first place. A few days later, I woke up again in the middle of the night, facing my cat like before, and he had the exact same terrified look on his face while facing my room's doorway. That time, I was so terrified to look, so I just put my blankets over my head until I somehow fell asleep. This happened last year, and to this day, I still get scared at night looking at my doorway, thinking, what if I saw whatever that was again? The fact that your cat saw it too just proves it was real what you saw. Weird it only came around for a little and then disappeared. Actually, I wonder if that thing was there because of your mom. Seems weird it appeared while your mom was visiting and never came back after appearing twice. At least I assume it showed up both times while she was there. Either way, it's weird. Guys, we've come to the end of another episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, please consider rating and reviewing, or liking and subscribing if you're on YouTube. It really helps the coven. Sharing the podcast with everyone you know also helps the coven grow. Oh, and if you have a story you'd like me to read, please send them in. I want to hear all of your experiences, no matter how crazy they might be. You can send them in to pinkyboohauntings at gmail. The email will be in the show notes and the description below. But for now, the coven is adjourned. See you next time. Bye.